go, guys, go, control, go, Falcon, go, Ginseng, go, Econ, go, Surgeon, go, Capcom 1, go, continue.
All right, we're back in the shop here working on the old 1911cc Type 4 914 engine. And yeah, the old cooling tin here wasn't a 912. Actually, this block wasn't, this cooling system in this block wasn't a 912 that I had years ago. And the guy purchased it. And he didn't want the 4-cylinder. He was going to upgrade it to a 6 to try to make, a 911 out of it, which I think he did. And so I negotiated a deal to keep the engine. So that's where some of these parts are coming from, and that's why it shows 912 here. You could open up the rear lid on the 912 and look inside, and there it would be. But anyway, it is a 914 block, as I mentioned before in my previous videos. It's a W case, so it originally would have been a 1.7, so now it's a 1911. It's got 1.8 heads on it. I talked about that earlier in another video on heads that I did, and I talked about the cooling tins and the different cooling designs that are available to you. And here I had trouble with an empty manifold that I purchased to adapt to the EMPI center section that you see under there. And for some reason I had good luck with the MP manifolds before, but for some reason they didn't fit. The tubes are staggered. They weren't, as you can see here, they're like opposite. They should be opposite one another, and with it that they were not. So anyway, that was a big warranty concern. I had to raise it with the EMPI people because I had it in a package for a while, and they don't, you know how that goes. So they're looking into it now, trying to support me, hopefully. But anyway, I had these old fuel injection manifolds lying around, and at that end there, where the tubes go into the EMPI center section, on the fuel injected 914, the two tubes are actually closer together. So if you want to make them work for this manifold, you actually have to spread the tubes out a little bit. And I did that using a vise. Just to illustrate, I'll show you on the vise if anybody wants to do it. Old 2316 engine on the workbench. So here's my vise. It isn't much, but as you can see with a vise, talking about spreading the Type 4 tubes, this vise here and most vices, they stick out a little bit here. They stick out, okay? And that's what you're going to use to grab your tubes. So I have the tube that didn't fit in my hands. There it is there. And as I said, these are going back on warranty with EMPI. But what I did just to illustrate is I placed the tubes over the little horns on the vise. Okay, and then I actually used the power of the vise in reverse to spread out the tubes a little bit. You know, and you have to go quite a ways past because they'll flex back in, you know. There's a lot of flex there, but it works. It's an iterative process. Do it once and then it'll snap back a little bit when you pull it out, and do it again until you get the distance that you need to interface with a manifold with the EMPI center section. All right, so that's something that you can do to utilize the fuel injected manifolds with the EMPI center section. Okay, yeah, you know, a lot of bus guys have done this. This is really nothing new, but that's the tricks of doing it. The other thing too is they have a fuel injection port. A lot of them do. I mean, the 914 did. That's what these are off, a 914. They have an 022 part number that's stamped in there. I don't know if you can see it. So they're actually off a 1.8 liter fuel injected engine. So What I did there is I took the fuel injector plates off, basically just threw them in the garbage, and then where the fuel injector nozzles fit through, yeah, this is probably a better picture there. Okay, so where the fuel injector nozzles would fit through, let me get it in focus, which is right there in the center of that square boss. I drilled it and I tapped it, and I put a plug in there, and you can see the plug, and then I also put some metal set around the plug to seal it really well so there's no vacuum leaks. Okay, and then I just cleaned it all up and painted it, and you can see the front one too, right there, just between the wiring. You can see the plug. So you've plugged it, and then from the inside you want to take a Dremel and round off any of the sharp edges so the fuel doesn't, like, fuel for some reason likes to drip off sharp edges, so I always round off all the edges, what would have been in, the fuel injector bosses on the inside with a Dremel to make it as smooth as possible. And then, yeah, you can use them, save you $1 or $2. You don't have to buy the EMPI ones, which aren't cheap anymore. They used to be cheap, but nothing's cheap anymore. So, yeah, think about that. It's a possibility for you. Now, the reason I did this, oh, geez, I've been around a long time, and as I said in some of my other videos, working on these engines for, I don't know, 40 plus years, I guess. I started my first dune buggy when I was a kid with a little 1200cc engine. So, however, never had a lot of luck with the 3236 progressive carburetor, the Weber progressive carburetors. I know some guys like them, most guys don't. Me personally, I've run them and I've jetted them, I've played with them, and I got them to run okay in a couple cases. Both of them were on Type 4 engines. Actually, I had one on a Type 1 too. So yeah, 3 of them. So I had 3 of them over the years, and never had great success on any of those 3. I think the first one I had was on a 1641cc Type 1, and the next one I had was on a 1.8 liter Type 4, and the last one I tried, I think, was on a 1911 Type 4. So never really had a lot of luck with it. Okay, I had a 2110 that I built a few years back now, was a Type 4, and I thought, hey, I got all these manifolds left over from the ones that I didn't, like I say, it never ran great, and I changed them. So I had a lot of parts available, and then I saw this 3838 D-gas replacement carburetor, I hate to say it, from China on eBay, and it was really cheap. So I said, okay, I'll take a chance with it, So I bought the 3838 D-gas style carburetor on eBay, and it was like maybe $100 or something. So okay, I receive it, and I thought, well, it's got this engine, I needed something to put on it. I had all those parts available. It's a 2110cc Type 4. I put the 3838 on it, and oh my goodness, it ran like a champion. I was like, I just could not believe how improved it was. So I ended up loving it, and then I ended up buying another one from the same people on eBay that you see here. And now I'm trying it again on this 1911. So that's the story behind that, and hopefully it'll run good. And I'm going to report back on it for sure in another video, upcoming video, when I get the BAJA bug with a Type 4 on the road. As you can see, I'm slowly working on it. in the garage. So thanks for visiting us today in the garage, and thanks for watching. Oh, before I forget, a word about intake manifold gaskets. Um, I think everybody's probably seen the really thick plastic isolating gaskets that are like a 1/4 inch thick between the cylinder head and the intake manifold tubes. Um, those aren't to be used for a center mount carburetor application. Uh, the isolator gaskets are used on the fuel injection manifolds, primarily to keep the heat from the manifold from the cylinder head from reaching the fuel injecting nozzle. And also, they use them on the twin carb engines, the 1800 and 1700 bus engines with twin carbs, in order to isolate the carburetors, which use short intake manifolds because they were twin carbs, from the heat going up into the carburetor body and overheating the carburetor body. Uh, in the sense because they were so close, okay? But here you got a long manifold, and what you're trying to do is get the heat up the manifold. So just use one thin gasket between the cylinder head and the intake manifold, and then you'll get some carb heat up there to better atomize the fuel. That has a long way to travel through that long intake manifold to the cylinder head. So that should help out a lot. Like I said, just use a single thin gasket between the cylinder head and the intake manifold, and it should be okay. Just a footnote to say the EMP people came good on the manifold problem, and they're shipping me a new manifold assembly. Thank you, EMPI. Well, thanks for watching, and don't forget to give us a like if you like the video. And I'm gonna do another video soon on the degas carburetor in detail. Thanks for watching.